as well, so a lot of dust flying around, but that breeze is easing as the high pressure continues to slip south across the UK for the rest of this week. But as well as being dry, it's also cloudier today. You can see the extent of the cloud, particularly in the north and the east on the satellite picture. The best of the sunshine across Wales and the southwest, which is actually where we've got the highest levels of pollen, tree pollen sufferers at the moment, having those high levels to contend with in the south and the west. Well, plenty of sunshine as well here in Coedpoeth in Wrexham. Further north, though, rather more cloud across North Yorkshire, as you can see. And in fact, the cloud does look quite menacing. It's producing a few showers. They're not numerous, but they are popping up and down across the Pennines up into southern and central parts of Scotland, 1 or 2 in the southeast of Northern Ireland. They could pop up just about anywhere, but you'll be very unlucky if you catch more than one. So for the rest of the afternoon, the cloud tends to increase across England and Wales, perhaps breaks a little bit more in the north, but temperatures are several degrees down on those of yesterday, so it does feel chilly out there, or certainly cooler if you're under the cloud and in the breeze. Now that breeze starts to come down from the north overnight, dragging in more cloud, so limiting the frost somewhat across the north of Scotland, but elsewhere, like last night where we keep the skies clear, it will be chilly again. We could have a touch of frost, certainly ground frost, but it means the best of the sunshine will again be in the morning, and we should see more for Northern Ireland tomorrow. Again, western areas and southern areas seeing the best of the morning sunshine, but I do think we'll see a general increase in cloud tomorrow as the day goes on. And temperatures again struggling just because of that breeze coming down from the north or the northeast, only 9s and 10s on the east coast. And then through tomorrow night and Wednesday, we do it all again. But because that high pressure is slipping southwards, it will be trapping our cloud underneath it. The winds are falling light away from the south coast, so there's nothing to blow the cloud away either. So I think Wednesday again looks as if it'll be on the cool side for most of us, with more limited sunshine, even in southern and western areas by that stage. But the high pressure does keep things mostly dry, as you can see. Keen breeze coming across in the south still. But for most of us, it's the same story, that of dry and settled weather right until the end of the working week, if not beyond, Clive.
All right, Helen, thank you for that. Helen Willis there. And a reminder of our top story this lunchtime. Emmanuel Macron wins a second term as French president, vowing to unite a divided country. That's it from me and the team, so goodbye now on BBC One. Time for the news where you are. Have a very good afternoon.
These Midlands. Good afternoon. Some families say they're still concerned about the scope of an investigation into maternity services in Nottingham, even though someone new is now in charge of it. A solicitor representing around a dozen parents of babies who had died or been injured says many of her clients still want a public inquiry. Well, our health correspondent Rob Sissons is in our newsroom. Rob, this is a very emotive subject, one that many families care about.
Yes, Jodi. I mean, the news that a new chairwoman has been appointed to lead the NHS maternity investigation into the failures at Nottingham's maternity services is still sinking in for many families. Now, David Sloman, he's the Chief Operating Officer for NHS England and NHS Improvement, announced that Julie Dent, a former NHS leader in the southwest of England, has taken over the review. And in an open letter to families, part of it reads, "The NHS is committed to providing the safest possible maternity services for families, and I hope this will be an important step in restoring confidence in this review's processes and ultimately improving NHS care and support for women and their families."
Rob, you've been speaking to one solicitor today who wants the scope of the investigation to be much wider.
That's right, Jodi. The investigation will look back at the care at Nottingham's 2 maternity units, now going all the way through to around 2010. Some bereaved families now, though, say the investigation on a so-called thematic review basis doesn't go far enough. A solicitor representing at least a dozen families says there's still a concern that it's not a full public inquiry.
The key issue for our clients, and I'm sure many other families affected, is what changes as a result of appointing a new chair. It's vitally important that there's not only trust in this process, but independence. Real change is needed, not only here in Nottingham, but across the country in the delivery of maternity services.
And some families wanted someone different to lead the investigation.
Yes, very much so. There have been calls for Donna Ockenden, who led the Shrewsbury and Telford investigation, to head the Nottingham review, but she hasn't been selected and appointed by the NHS. Now, the Health Secretary, Sajid Javid, says the Nottingham Hospital's maternity review must urgently bring about real change. He's confident, he says, the appointment of Julie Dent will deliver a review which addresses tragic failures. Well, it's not yet clear whether Julie Dent will reshape the investigation. She's only just started work.
Rob, thank you. Next, victims of sex offences in Leicestershire are facing the country's longest delays in the justice system. New figures obtained by the BBC show a typical case now takes over a year to be completed at Leicester Crown Court. One leading barrister told us growing court delays aren't remotely acceptable. Our social affairs correspondent Jeremy Ball reports.
Police raids, suspects arrested, but this is just the start of the justice system. Going to trial can be traumatic if you've been a victim of crime, and it's taking longer and longer. Our Crown Courts took around 12 months to deal with the average sex offence case last year.
It's a massive issue at the moment, and of course it's intensifying the level of trauma that these victims and witnesses are experiencing. It delays their recovery. There's also a huge delay in increase of concern on public confidence in the justice system as well. As for serious crimes in particular, we know that there's a bigger chance of victims pulling out the process with the delay happening as well in courts.
And last year's longest delays in the country were at Leicester Crown Court. The average sex offence there took 394 days. At Derby Crown Court, from start to finish, it was 356 days. And sex offences at Nottingham Crown Court took 332 days. That's significantly longer than 5 years ago, up 63% in Leicester, 50% in Derby and 73% in Nottingham. It's partly because courts were closed during lockdowns and still trying to catch up. But leading barristers say it's been getting worse for years, and they're blaming budget cuts.
I don't think that's remotely acceptable from anybody's perspective. If you are charged with an offence of that nature, you've got it hanging over you for all that period of time. Very often you'll have been suspended from work. It can't go on like this. It's unsustainable.
The government says court delays were badly affected by the pandemic and says it's now tackling the backlog. Jeremy Ball, BBC's Midlands Today.
A woman from Derby who was drink driving and killed 2 of her children in a crash has been jailed for more than 4 years. 35-year-old Miriam McCann was driving on the M1 near Milton Keynes on the 9th of August last year. She was speeding and hit the back of a lorry. 2 of her children, Lily, aged 4, and 10-year-old Smaller, both died in the crash. They were not wearing their seatbelts. McCann admitted causing death by careless driving and whilst under the influence of alcohol. Nottingham City Council is consulting over plans to close the Victoria Centre Market. The market has been open since 1971, but only around 30 of the 200 units are currently occupied. Traders have accused the council of not investing in the market in an effort to close it by stealth. But the council says closing it would save them almost £40 million over the remaining 50 years of the current agreement. The consultation begins today and will last 6 weeks. And the family of Eric Chappell from Grantham, who created hit TV sitcoms, has described him as a comedy genius who was kind and compassionate. Tributes have been paid to the 88-year-old following his death. His work includes Rising Damp, which ITV broadcast over 4 series from 1974 to 1978 and won him a BAFTA. Mr Chappell was also a patron of Robin Hood Theatre Company near Newark.
He was that sort of quiet person who didn't push himself. He wasn't a big wheeler dealer. He was just, I'm writing this stuff and perhaps somebody will put it on for me. It's kind of modest. And that's kind of perhaps a bit like the East Midlands. It's a modest place.
It's taken 180 hours of carving over 6 weeks, but now a replacement statue that will sit proudly on one of Nottingham's buildings has been completed. A statue of St Luke created by Joseph Eltz, the same sculptor who made the city's famous lions, had started to fall apart. The Nottingham School of Art commissioned sculptor Andy Smith to make a new one.
Actually, I thought, do I want to do this? It's a big job. And I was kind of trying to wind down with the work. And then I thought, it'd be a lovely legacy to be able to put this up and have it last. I mean, it'll last for hundreds of years now. So it'd be nice to have something up there that I can say I did that.
Now let's take a look at today's weather forecast. Here's Natasha with all the details.
Thanks, Jodie. Well, we started with some brighter skies first thing, but it has tended to cloud over as we've gone through the morning. Many skies looking a little bit like this. A few showers heading our way as well. Now, as we look further on in the week, though, it will become a little bit drier. We'll keep those clouds though, and we'll have some sunny spells at times as well. So we've got an area of high pressure to the north. That's pushing down. As it does so, those winds starting to ease. It will become calmer and drier, but it will trap some of those clouds as well. So this afternoon we start with some patchy cloud around, perhaps a few showers in places too, but we will still get some sunny spells. Temperatures highs today around 13 degrees Celsius. Going into this evening then, a lot of that cloud starting to break out and fade away, and we'll get some clearer skies. Temperatures dropping though. It will be a chilly night to come, around 1 or 2 degrees. Could get a little bit of a patchy frost, bit of mist and fog at times as well. So some brighter skies to start the day tomorrow. Some sunshine, but then that cloud starting to build in places, and with it too we could get the odd shower, but it could be quite isolated. Temperatures around 12 or 13 degrees Celsius. Now looking to the rest of the week then, we will keep those temperatures around average or just below. The winds quite gentle, just a little bit of a breeze, and although we will have some sunny spells through the week, it is starting to cloud over as we go further into Wednesday and Thursday. Jodie.
Thanks, Natasha. That's all from the East Midlands this lunchtime. Anne will be back with your next news bulletin at 6:30. Until then, whatever you do, I hope you have a lovely afternoon. Bye-bye.
I've lost count of how